friends, welcome back to our channel. My name is Erin, and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me. And I am introing this video for a second time, take two, because what happened was this was originally supposed to be a reading arcs to get my net galley score up video. Okay, that started filming back in March. Okay, and it's mid-April, towards the end of April at this point. So what I decided to do was do a little remix, okay? And now this is just going to be a reading 2025 releases. We got some arcs, we got some books that are just out, but all of these books were released in 2025, and that's all that matters. So let's just see what I read. Alrighty, so I have finished my first book for this vlog, and that is Homegrown Magic by Jamie Pacton and Rebecca Podos? Podos? Yeah, that's right. And I kept telling myself that I needed to update at the 50% mark, 60, 70. But here's the thing. I didn't exactly know what I had to say. I don't think I was really able to formulate my opinion on this until I finished it. And yeah, I was like, well, I could just come on and say what it's about, but I'm like, I could also do that all in one go. And that's what I decided to do. So let me tell you a little bit about Homegrown Magic. This is a queer, cozy, romantic fantasy. So I'm saying that up front because it's not a lot of plot. It's very cozy, very much slice of life, very much character study, very much the Honey Witch. But I feel like the Honey Witch had higher stakes. Like the stakes in this are lower. So somewhere between the Honey Witch, Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, and Legends and Lattes. Yeah, so I feel like if you were a fan of any of those books, I think this is something that you might want to look into. Our main character, Yael Klonik, who is the heir to this ridiculously wealthy banking family. Yael has known what is expected of them from birth, what their role is to be in the family. And while Yael was in college, they played around, did whatever they wanted to do, didn't exactly take life seriously, but they knew at the end of the day that they were expected to take a job within their family's business and, be the heir to all of that. But that is not necessarily what Yael wants. They don't know who they are, what they want to be outside of their family, and they're just feeling very suffocated and overwhelmed by not having a lot of choices. So while Yael is at their graduation party, they decide that they've had enough and they are done with all of this, and they decide to run away. And so they end up running away to Bloomfield, which is this small, cute town outside of the city. And they happen upon Margot Greenwillow. And Margot and Yael were friends growing up, but then something happened and Margot's family just kind of dropped out of society as a whole. This is giving Regency. So Margot and Yael, who were once best friends as children, lost touch with each other. But when Yael runs away to Bloomfield, they run into Margot. Margot's grandmother, Her name was Fern. Fern was a very well known plant witch who made remedies and like built up this really big empire, and that's where their family got their money from. And her grandmother also kind of founded Bloomfield at the same time. So that is where they got their money from. But once her grandmother died, Margot's parents kind of blew through their money and lost it all. Okay. The Clownecks, which is Yael's family, plays a part in the Green Willows losing everything and leaving the city and kind of disappearing. Now Margot knows this, but Yael doesn't know this. So they meet back up and Yael starts helping Margot with the greenhouses, and they just catch up and kind of make up for lost time, and they like each other. And they start this relationship. It's very interesting to see this relationship because Margot Margot knows the whole truth, and she doesn't know if Yael knows everything. There's a bunch of layers to this, and I'm being overly vague on purpose because, like I said, there's not a lot of plot. So if I tell you, if I tell you that, then babe, that's it. That's all, right? So yeah. But just know that Margot knows everything, but she doesn't know if Yael knows everything, and they don't have that conversation with each other until I want to say at least 60% into the book. So yeah, but Yael is enjoying this small town life, and loves being around Margot, and Margot is enjoying having Yael back around in her life. I loved how queer normative this is. Yael is non-binary and uses they them pronouns, and like nobody blinks twice about anything, and I love that. Like, yes, just act like you got some sense. Yes, act like you got some sense, be inclusive, and that's all you got to do. I think this gave all the cozy vibes. And I will say that there were times where I was like, okay, when, because there is something that we need to solve, right? And I'm like, okay, we solved it, but we didn't actually see it get solved. We read about it past tense in the epilogue, and I didn't exactly like that choice because, like I said, there's not a whole lot of plot to begin with. So then to leave the resolution of that plot point to the epilogue and us not even get to be there and live in that moment, I didn't love that choice. Didn't love that choice because if you did not read the epilogue, then you never really got a resolution. You just got like nothing. And so that was a choice. I also was very surprised at how spicy this was. So if look, be prepared for that because the spice was spicing. I wasn't ready, but then I got ready, and I was here for it. So yes, this also deals a lot with parent relationships, and Yael is trying to figure out who they want to be, if they, how can they be a part of a family that they don't support. How can they be a part of a family when they don't support the things that the family is doing and what the family stands for? And I think it's a very interesting conversation to have because a lot of us people, I'm saying people when I say us, a lot of people grow up and have different values and different morals and beliefs than their family. So it's like, okay, so how can I be a part of this family when we fundamentally stand on different things? And I think that's also a very relevant problem that I've seen just on social media that a lot of people are having with the election that just happened and things like that. So maybe this is a good time to read about that, or maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed my time with this. I rated this a 3.5 star. Like I said, it just felt a little meandering at times, a little what are we doing, a little can we just have a honest conversation, because there wasn't necessarily miscommunication, but it was I made this choice because I thought it would be better for you, and I did not find out until the end of this arc that this is going to be a series. It's a homegrown magic series, and I think the second book, it says, will be called Homeward for a Spell, and it will be coming out in 2026. I think it'll be an interconnected standalone, because the way this wrapped up, I don't see any point in continuing with their story, because I think their story is done. Let me read y'all some of these quotes, because listen, Yael knew what to say. They knew what to say. And I'm like, yes. Yes. Okay. I'm not gonna read too many of them because I just feel like that's really extra. But I'm gonna read you this one because this one is what did it for me. And I was like, yes, Gael, get your girl. Yeah, period. Margot Greenwillow, I have been choosing you every day for 4 months now. And if I haven't made that obvious, if you haven't felt chosen, then clearly I've work to do yet. Come inside and I'll show you. Because I would have folded in that moment too. What you mean? What do you mean? Instantly folded like a pretzel. So very here for it. And yeah, 3.5 stars. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but I still really enjoy my time and probably will continue on with the series. So let's see what I get into next. Okay, so I finished my second book for this video, and that is Spells, Strings, and Forgotten Things. Now, this is the second book that I have read by Breanne Randall. So in this one, we are in a small town and we're following three sisters, but our main character's name is Calliope. She has sisters named Thalia and Eurydice, or Eurydice, one of them, yeah, either way. And so these are witch sisters whose mother has abandoned them. And so Calliope is the only one who really even still practices magic. And they have been tasked with protecting this oak tree. Okay. But the thing about their magic is that you have to sacrifice a memory to be able to do magic. So the more important or the greater the memory, the bigger the spell you can cast. So Calliope has been sacrificing her memories to keep up the protection of this tree. But then some things started happening, and Calliope ends up accidentally binding herself to Lucian, who is a different type of witch. So Calliope and her sisters are like kind of like light witches, and Lucian is like a shadow daddy. So they have a great prejudice towards the other kind. And so when Calliope binds herself to Lucy, and it becomes a thing, and they have to figure out how to separate themselves, but also how to keep the enchantments from the oak tree from breaking. Okay, so that's the general situation we got going on. And we are also dealing with generational curses, family drama, like I said, the prejudices between the light and the shadow, just all of those kind of more serious topics are happening at the same time. And I think this book might have tried to do too much, because there were moments where it had like this, I don't know, it kind of just felt like, and I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let me just, I think that the storyline of the sister witches trying to keep the tree protected was cool. It was good. We got to learn a lot of information about what actually happened in the curses and all the things. And that was, a big part of the story. But then we also have a romance, because Lucian and Calliope end up falling in love, right? While they're bound to each other. And that part, I think, is where my problems came in. The romance was just kind of like, it was, okay, look. So when they met, it was like insta lust. And I'll give you insta lust because, that can happen for real, right? Okay. So, but then they had like maybe one or two interactions and like not even like in depth conversations. And it's like these deep feelings just magically appeared. And I don't know if they were supposed to be fated mates. I don't remember it actually being said in the book. I might have missed that because I kind of felt myself like fading in and out of paying attention. But like, how you love him and y'all ain't even, you don't know nothing about this man, and you supposedly in love with him and you need him, and just these really deep feelings that we didn't get to see on page. So I felt like we skipped a couple steps. Like I was fine with the insta list, but then when you jump to love, it just made it hard to believe. And then not only that, it felt like we were reading this cute, cozy, kind of. It felt like we were reading this cute, cozy fantasy with a serious undertone, but like not too serious. We had some characters like Calliope's best friend, Danny, as like comedic relief throughout the book. But like there were some serious things happening, like some deaths and some some more stuff, okay? But then it just felt like randomly out of nowhere, Lucian would have start saying these very filthy things, and I would be like shook and shaken every time, and I'm like, what? Because where did that come from? It didn't feel like it fit. And when they would have like spicy scenes, and like they would just be talking, it felt like it took me out of the story because look, I love a spicy scene or whatever, but this one just didn't feel like this book didn't need it, I don't think. I honestly think it would have been better without it because it took me out. And I was like, Lucian, why would you why would you say that? What? No, it didn't feel right. It didn't. I ended up rating this a 3.5 star. I think that the story and the lore was pretty cool, pretty interesting. There was a lot of twists and tangles and layers and curses and all kinds of stuff going on. And this was definitely set up to be a series. And I think we will be following each of the sisters and their romance, which we did get a preview of in this book as well. So it's kind of obvious where that is going to go, but I don't know where the plot is going to go. So, will I continue on? I think I would need to read the synopsis of the second book. Once that comes out, that will kind of help me decide whether I want to continue on with this series or not. Because right now it's kind of like, eh. But yeah, I think this had a lot of potential. I just think it was kind of all over the place, and I didn't necessarily enjoy the romance as much as I could. It should have been more fleshed out. If you're gonna give us a romance, give us a story, or if you're gonna give us lust, give us lust. But like giving us pieces of both, eh, meh. But anyway, moving on to our next book. So, for the last book of this vlog, I ended up reading I Accidentally Hooked Up with a Vampire by Jessica Cage. And, I have been having these great intentions of updating you like midway through the book, but then that just doesn't happen. So, I finished this. And I'm going to tell you what it's about, and then we can talk about how I felt about it because I have feelings. I have a lot of feelings. Okay, so this is the second book in the Accidents Happen series, and in this one, we're following Whitney, who thinks that she is going into a meeting to get a promotion, but is actually getting fired. And the reason why she's getting fired is not exactly her fault, which makes it even harder. And then the problem with all of this is that she just signed a mortgage on a condo, so she is like freaking out, right? And so the next day or the same day or something, she has an event to go to for her friend. And she doesn't tell her friend that she's been fired because she wants to, be able to celebrate and not make her friend feel bad and all of this. So she turns to drinking, right? And she ends up, you know, drinking a little more than usual, but I wouldn't say that she was like drunk to where she didn't know what's going on. But she was drinking a little more than usual, and ends up hooking up with the owner of the art gallery that the event was being held at, and she had a good time. And so she ends up hooking up with Domino, and eventually we find out that Domino is a vampire. And not only that, but he has some people that decide to come after Whitney because he is interested in her. Through finding out that Domino is a vampire, she also finds out that her friends are hiding some supernatural secrets of their own, and they have been hiding this from her for like a decade at this point. So we are watching Whitney learn that the world is very different than how she thought it was. And also, like, she's having this really strong attraction to Domino, and he is also like making her consider some things about herself that she didn't really realize that she was into. And it's just a lot. Okay, it's a lot. It was a fun time. Had a great time reading this. Okay, first thing, I was reading this while I was at work, and the way my memory has been lately, it's just been very crappy, and I wanted to make sure that I said what I wanted to say about this book. So I wrote down notes while I was working just to make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, so we're going to read through these and I'm talk about it, and then yeah, we're going to go from there. So to start off, Jessica Cage has started both of the books in this series off wild as hell, okay? But in the best way, because in I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend, we started off talking about booty juice. And this one starts off just as wild. And I also love the way that she kind of, she referenced talking about the booty juice in this book and how we're not going to talk about it. And I just thought that was a cute little nod to the first book, but also the way that she has weaved in characters throughout the series. I love we got to see Raina again, who was the main character in the first book, and also some more characters. I won't spoil that for you, but I really like how she, weaves it in. Just everything is seamless, and the world and how these people are connected is so cool because I'm not gonna say how, but Raina may or may not be the reason why Whitney lost her job, and it's just crazy, okay? And like putting all the puzzle pieces together and how these people know each other and all this is crazy, okay? Because we also will meet the author of the book where Raina got the spell from, which that she used to summon Matisse. Like it's just so connected and so twisty, and I love all of that. I love it, okay? And anyway, let's see what else. Okay, and these books feel like I am sitting down and having a conversation with one of my friends, and they are reliving like a wild memory or telling me a story about something that has happened to them. Like it is very like conversational in that way to me, and I love that about Jessica Cage's writing. I love that I feel like I'm talking to one of my friends and I'm just cackling and giggling and having the best time. It's one of my favorite things about her writing so far with the two books that I have read. And look, also, Jessica Cage's spicy scenes are wild. all caps. Okay, because Domino turned Whitney every which way but loose. And some of this stuff you just be like, what the heck? What? This don't even how? But also like, yeah, kind of like it. Kind of does something for me. Okay, and I also wanted to talk about Whitney's reaction to finding out that Domino was a vampire because look, Whitney was distraught. She was flabbergasted. She was befuddled. She just was stressed and pressed. Okay, but you know, if it was me, and I found out that the dude that I've been hooking up with is a vampire, I wouldn't have that reaction. I would be happy. Okay. I would be ecstatic. Let's turn me now. What are we waiting for? Let's get the show on the road. I have finally found my vampire. Like it's a great day. Like she was so upset and I'm like, girl, no, no. I would not be upset. I would be happy. This is a joyous occasion. I'm finally getting what I want because that's what I want. So I thought that was hilarious because I'm like that my reaction would not be that. It would probably be very much the opposite of how she reacted to finding out that he was a vampire. And I feel like she also I kind of felt like yes, a lot was happening in a short amount of time, but Whitney got to be a little whiny at a certain point, and I'm glad it did not last long because I'm like, girl, get it together. Because somebody tell me I got magical powers and all this, like, yes, it's very overwhelming to understand that the world that you thought is not the world that you actually live in. But somebody tell me I got some superpowers, I'm amped. I'm hype. Because what you mean to tell me I'm not normal? Like, thank you. I'm not just a basic ass human. Yes, perfect. I knew it all along. I just would not be as distraught as she was. And, you know, I guess we all handle things in the way that we need to. I rated this a 3.5 star. And what I will say is that I enjoyed this one so much more than I did the first book. And I think that's strictly just because I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire girly. I love a vampire. They're my favorite. Like I'm always going to love a vampire. And you know, I think I just like Domino a little better than I like Matisse as a love interest. Yeah, because even though Matisse could do some things with his appendages that were interesting, I don't need all it. Just give me a vampire and you know, I'm okay. I'm okay. Like the way the Domino was just throwing Whitney away around, that's my speed, you know? And also if you're going to read this, be aware that it does have blood play and probably like a significant amount of blood play. So if that weirds you out, don't even pick this one up, friend. Don't do that to yourself because yeah, and it's not like scary, creepy blood play, but you know, if look, if you having second thoughts about it, don't do it. Just don't even put yourself through that. Now, did I like it? Yeah, I was shocked. That didn't gross me out, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's not much wrong that a vampire could do that I wouldn't be okay with, so that's also a thing too. Anyway, 3.5 stars. This was so fun, and I can't wait to see what the next book is about. And I think I saw on Instagram that Jessica Cage announced the next creature, but I can't even tell you what it was. I don't even remember, friend, but I'm gonna pick it up either way because I just have so much fun with this series and I can just fly through them. I think I read this in like 24 hours. Like, this is a fun time. And I love that for me. And yeah, I think at this point it's time to wrap up this video. You know, it's been going on for a long time. And I have only read 30 books. So I'm just going to call it quits. We're just going to call it quits on this one. And to do a quick recap, I started off with Homegrown Magic, and that was a 3.5 star. And then we read Spell Strings and Forgotten Things. And a friend, I think that was a 3.5 star too. Wait a minute. Okay. And we just finished with I accidentally hooked up with a vampire, also being a 3.5 star. So this was the vlog of 3.5 stars. And you know what? I guess I'm okay with that. It's better than a vlog of 2 stars or 1 stars or DNFs. So we're just gonna take it. We're gonna take it and we're gonna move on. And hopefully I will have better luck with the next 2025 releases that I decide to pick up. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. It is always so, so, so much greatly appreciated. And I will, I can never end a video correctly. And I say the same thing every time and I mess it up every single time. Whatever. I hope you have the best day that you possibly can. Remember to take care of yourself and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.